Hi guys, and we're back in with Outlast 2. And I wanted to record a brief another video about the ending, and specifically the whole connotation of what I missed and why I missed it. Uh, and you can see the gameplay here in the background. I've slowed it down to half speed, so it's going to be a bit skippy, but that's because I wanted you to see at least one specific thing, and then I'll leave it running, and my thoughts won't be rambling as such. Um, or they will, but because I always ramble. But it's going to be more about the story and how it's maybe a little bit better than I thought, but not still not me necessarily giving this review of it. It's just something I missed, and maybe this is what happened instead. And number one, I'm retarded. Clearly not intelligent enough to get this from from the off shot. Or maybe I was. I kind of did, but I wanted to ignore this as a possibility. I'll be honest. I didn't think they were going to do this, but Lynn is giving birth here. Obviously, you don't particularly want to necessarily see this nasty point where she's about to die in childbirth in this scene. But the reason I've started it from here and slowed it down for the foreseeable point is because as Lynn gives birth, obviously you get your new child is welcomed into the world. Lynn says there is nothing there as she dies. Now, this point was very poignant to me. I noticed this when I was playing through, if you've watched video number 10 as well. But this bit gets me, and I didn't get this until I watched it back. I didn't see it when I was playing. As Blake comes around the edge of the table, look at the shadow. He is holding nothing in his hands. As she says, there is nothing there. I didn't notice that in the gameplay. And that would have been harder or less prominent for them to put in a shadow for a child than it would be to leave one out. It'd have been easy to do a blob for a shadow as a kid. You didn't even have to have it moving. But they purposely, it's clear that it is purposely edited out when you watch that more slowly. So, okay, this is the thing. This one thing hasn't led me to this whole overarching theory. A lot of stuff has, but I guess you could call it the end game theory. I don't know. I think this is how the story's actually going down, and I missed it because maybe it was too blatant, too obvious. And again, I didn't really want to believe it. I had fought a few times, and I was like, no, let's look for the more interesting story here. Let's look for the thing that's better. But there is no child, and I'll let this play in the background. This clip while I ramble on. It's going to stay at half speed, so enjoy or don't enjoy that. Probably not, because if you've seen video 10, you've already seen the ending and made your own assumptions. But the thing I can't believe I missed about the end of this game, or again, I can believe I missed because I wanted to believe it was something more, is, and the lack of the child doesn't really necessarily prove that, but now looking back, the whole game's been leading up to that, is the fact that Blake and Lynn Langerman are both already dead. And I guess I should have seen this game pulling a sixth sense on me. You didn't survive the helicopter crash at the beginning. And I'm sure for all of you out there, and the ones that will watch this video, this is no fucking shocker. You're probably like, well, X's, fucking hell, we figured this out ages ago. Why are you being a twat? You think Blake was just getting deliriously crazy and skipping into his psyche, seeing Jessica and that. No, he's trying to repent for his sins, for not actually helping her against the crazy pedo priest that killed her. So yeah, you've been dead since the beginning, and the whole game, and it does make the story a little bit better, I guess, because you're playing the man who's dead or dying. You're playing his last trips through purgatory, I guess it is, trying to console himself. It keeps the heavy religious theme going because it suggests that there is a heaven and a hell, and Blake is trapped somewhere in between, and you have to guide him. He's trying to come to terms with the fact that Jessica, he let Jessica die, or he didn't do anything to help, or he done less to help. He should have stayed in the room stopping the fucking horrific teacher. But it's more than that, and we see Jessica now in the scene. The thing with the child at the end and Lynn's like, there's nothing there. Their journeys through purgatory, they're both dead. The inhabitants of the town are dead, drinking that hydrogen cyanide at the end. So there probably was a crazy town full of. I wouldn't say they were murdery and as murder crazy as this motherfucker Noth. I don't even necessarily think he was specifically that. I think he probably was. I don't even know how real he is, because if this is Blake's journey through purgatory, he might just be like Martyr and like Laird, where they're more symbols of like fucking the uglier parts of humanity, of the humanity within Blake. Martyr's quite obvious. She's she's more closer to the Grim Reaper, the spectre of death, constantly chasing him, constantly making him confront his fear. Laird is more like the ugly side of him, the one that is a bit selfish, doesn't give a fuck. But the whole thing with him and Lynn, their journeys were completely separate through purgatory, and that's why they weren't together very often, is because, well, number one, they're two very different people, and Lynn probably doesn't have as much sin as he does, and maybe she wasn't even there at all. We don't know one way or another. But the whole thing at the end where she says there's nothing there, this is a representation of the fact that Lynn and Blake never, or specifically Blake, never really loved Lynn. He loved Jessica, and he loved her a lot when he was a child, and he never got over the fact she died and he couldn't help her. So when the baby is a representation of the love between Lynn and Blake, and the fact that there was none. There's nothing there. That's what she states. And then the game developers purposely panning out and showing you no baby shadow. The baby being the representation of love between two people, and like I said, it would have been so much easier to actually program that in than just leave it out and purposely pan out like that. Again, I missed it because I was concentrating at the end of the game. So yeah, Blake settled for Lynn being Jessica's closest friend in school. Even though he loved Jessica, he settled because he felt safe, and it kept him feeling close to Jessica. It's how he dealt with it. It's a horrible thing, obviously, and when you die in a helicopter, no one survives a fucking helicopter crash like that, right? Blake did not survive. Lynn did not survive, and yeah, the game sixth sensed me, and yeah, and you can see if you go back through the game, watch the videos again, or you're playing it yourself, you can see these tropes, the different tropes that appear that are to do with death, and obviously there's a fucking lot to do with death, but to do with Blake being punished and finding a way to deal with that, and then of course it gets to the end of the game, and you see that the people laying on the ground that supposedly this fucker here, Noth, has killed or got to drink the hydrogen cyanide, they look a lot more normal than any of the fuckers you've seen throughout the game. So these are the people that have perhaps gone or either ascended to heaven or down to hell, and this is how they died. The spirit, all the nightmarish things Blake has seen throughout his travels up until this point, that was these people's souls as well, either being really fucking evil and trying to deal with getting into heaven or hell, or not at all. Who knows? But yeah, I think, and then we get to the end of the game, and that isn't the sun. Of course, it's not the sun. The sun doesn't do that. This isn't the end of days. It's not the apocalypse. There is no baby there in Blake's arms. I mean, it didn't get you passed out and suddenly it's wrapped up and no longer covered in blood. I know it's a video game, but this doesn't happen. The developers are kind of screaming at us at the end and like, come on guys, don't you get it? And I guess I should have got it. I just didn't want it to be that obvious, I guess. Or maybe I'm just not that fucking intelligent. Maybe I'm a complete retard and I didn't deserve to get it. And yeah, whatever. But yeah, he walks out at the end and there's the big burning ball in the sky that looks like the sun until you zoom in with the camera, and it looks a fucking lot worse than the sun. And yeah, when you see that, as you get closer to it, when you finally walk up to it, there's a blinding flash of light, and Blake's and the game ends. It's not the apocalypse. It's Blake. It's when they tell you when they think you're dying, don't walk towards the light. It's Blake going towards the light. It's the tunnel of light. He's either ascending to heaven or being taken to hell. But his trip through purgatory has ended. He's either proven himself or not. And yeah, that's why he walks towards that light. He goes towards that. He doesn't know he's dead. Of course, you don't, or supposedly don't know you're dead. But that's what this game has been. It's built up a world for him to be tested in, and he's been tested, and then it's destroyed that world, and he's maybe been proven righteous, maybe come to terms with it, and that comes to the very end scene, um, where he gets to be after he gets taken into light, he gets to be with the woman he loves again. He gets to be 8-year-old or 12-year-old Blake, and he gets taken in. He gets taken in by the by Jessica, and he gets to be with Jessica, and they pray together, and she says she'll never let him go because he never loved Lynn. He wanted to be with Jessica, and by the looks of it, by after stepping into the light, God gives him that chance. So that being said, I'll let this round up back at normal speed for you. Um, yeah. So feel free to obviously make your own assumptions. I could be completely wrong, but we saw the heathens. There's the burning ball of light that's walking into the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. Um, yeah, we met the heathens that were kind of animalistic, bestial, like that. They couldn't exist in reality. So yeah, this is Blake like passing into the afterlife almost. We saw that. We saw characters like Marta, Laird. These were probably some sort of religious version of well, they were like not deadly sins or whatever, but like signs of wrongdoing in Blake's life, and he had to get over that. But yeah, that's my thoughts and theories on this ending to the game. Maybe this is what they done. Maybe they sixth sense the shit out of us, and he's been dead the whole time. But yeah, these people here look fairly normal as well. So yeah, I'll leave that. I'm not going to be doing like an extended version at the end of every game to be like, oh shit, this is actually what I missed. This is actually how the ending goes. This might not even be. I could be totally wrong, and it could just be completely supernatural and fucked up, and they messed up. But this makes the story. Looking back at my video last night and then seeing that particular bit with the baby and then thinking about it, I was like, actually makes the story a little bit better because I know none of it was fucking real. But yeah, no, I'll leave you to your own thoughts on that, and yeah, that's where it. That's sort of the conclusion I've got. So yeah, as it goes, guys. Thank you for watching the Outlast series. May end up, if this is the story, it may end up being a bit better than I thought, because at least that way they fucking killed off Blake, and they dealt with this whole ton of boring bullshit. Or all the religious stuff anyway. It's not my favourite thing. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, I will not be doing sort of end rambling, sort of what does the ending mean stuff in the future. It just sort of dawned on me as I watched it back last night, about to pass out in a moderately drunken stupor. Sort of watching it, I was like, did I miss that? Am I seeing that right? And yeah, I don't know if I am. Like Blake walking into the light here at the end again. But I don't know if I am seeing it right. I could be totally wrong. It's a bit lame if they have done that, because the character you've been playing as is dead anyway. But who knows? Who knows? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. It was still a fun horror game, and that's the whole point. I had fun playing it. Got scared a few times, and yeah, just thought I'd do this to cover all the bases, and cover myself, because clearly I am the only one actually retarded enough that I didn't necessarily see this or didn't want to see it. I guess it's a shame, but another missed opportunity from Red Barrels to have done something more interesting. But again, let's hope we see that in the DLC. And this is Blake's poor little spirit getting to live his life how he wants. Sitting here with the lovely Jessica that he wanted to be with all along. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And yeah, again, you shouldn't be watching this if you haven't either watched all my videos till the end or played the game to the end yourself, because yeah, you're just going to spoil everything. Anyway, that being said, thanks for watching. In a bit.